Hello everyone, I've successfully returned from Skate Canada International in the middle of nowhere 2025. Now this recap video will be a bit more subjective than usual as I was actually in attendance and have opinions from seeing the event live. Let's start off with the dance event as this is where the video title originates. In dead last after the rhythm dance, and only moving up one spot overall, were Emily Brady and Ian Somerville from the United States. They scored over 6 points lower than at Grand Prix de France. 4, from what I can tell, were similar performances. And their reactions said it all.
Asking about the twizzles, you're going to get negative QE. That has gone down actually. So the GOE has dropped slightly, so 63.01.
Wow.
63.02.
Wow. Nice.
The scores weren't great in the rhythm dance.
Of the United States of America and earned in the free dance.
Yeah, 103.1. Yeah, 103.1.
Their total competition score is 100.
For a team who frequently scored 180 to 190 last season and now received 166.32, this has got to be a shocker. From my perspective, having now seen them live twice, I noticed that they seem more balanced this season, meaning I'm less inclined to focus only on Ian. I honestly wasn't a huge fan of their programs, especially their White Crow Free, mainly because I can't understand why Emily is wearing blue, but I still don't see a legitimate reason why they would be getting tanked. Leah Nesset and Artem Markelov, also from the US, placed last after being second last after the rhythm dance. I also felt there wasn't anything really stand out from them. Unfortunately, their Napoleon free dance didn't hit any harder in person than it has digitally for me. The Germans, Jennifer and Benjamin, I was not familiar with. I did find myself enjoying their Latin free dance. They placed 8th. Marie Jade and Romain, one of Canada's 3 dance teams at this event, produced a rhythm dance that I found myself quite enjoying despite the high energy 90s of it all, and a free dance that was definitely not their best. It was just kind of shaky and slow at times, and unfortunately I do think they deserved their placement here, which was 7th. In 6th were Hannah Lim and Ye Kwan. The audience in the Saskatoon Centre gave 3 standing ovations in the free dance, 2 for the top Canadian teams and 1 for Hannah and Ye, and they're absolutely correct for doing so. In my opinion, these skaters created the strongest moment of the event. I felt the drama and angst of their wartime-themed free dance. Hannah is such a great actress and projects so well, plus it doesn't hurt that her face card could probably buy out Nutrien's apparent stranglehold on the Saskatchewan economy. Like, even the Zamboni was sponsored by Nutrien. Anyways, definitely the moment of the night for me, and I had come in skeptical, neither loving nor hating their free dance after watching it online. The Mraziks were best in the rhythm dance where they placed 5th. They sunk to 8th in the free but hung on to 5th overall. I didn't like their choreo slide move in the free. It just looks like a mistake when she sits down on the ice. From what I saw on Twitter, it seems they received a fall deduction because Daniel wasn't sliding long enough for it to count as a sliding movement. They also received an extended lift deduction. Katerina wears a very long and voluminous red skirt for this free dance to Malaguena. I found the volume a bit distracting, but it's impressive she can skate in this costume. Now let's talk about 2 teams in conjunction. La Joie and Laga, also known as Lala, another of Canada's teams entered here and also my favorite active ice dancers, and CPOM from the US. I will be referring to them as CPOM because I can't pronounce Carrera. So what happened here is that Lala made a mistake on their choreo rhythm sequence in the rhythm dance and were behind CPOM, but then placed above CPOM in the free to nab the bronze and leave CPOM in 4th. First of all, this isn't surprising given we're in Canada, and also given that CPOM's programs just aren't hitting for a lot of people. Many feel especially their Notre Dame free dance is a downgrade from last season. And I agree. I didn't really feel anything watching them skate. But did Lala do any better? First, I will comment on the rhythm dance. As much as I dislike this rhythm dance, it was simple for the audience to get on board, and Lala are really committing to the high energy of the theme. It almost feels threatening. They really are saying, you want high energy? We'll give you high energy. Although their twizzles weren't quite as good as in practice, you can see on the second set they did drift a little further apart, I thought they still nailed everything apart from that final mistake. However, the free dance, which I was actually extremely excited to see, as their White Crow performance at a past Can Nats is something I am known to rewatch, did not reach me as I expected. There have been some tweaks to choreo and timing, although the major elements remain mostly the same. Their opening choreo is different. Here I prefer the old version. They also introduced a jump entry into the Twizzles, which I enjoy. Their curve lift position has changed, it's less dynamic, and I'm relatively indifferent. But the vibes have shifted. It wasn't what I was expecting. I missed the old White Crow. It had an air of desperation about it. Marjorie had her hair down, Zach's shirt gave the impression he'd been lost in the woods for 2 weeks. The final spin pose really drove home the tone of the program, where in the old version, Marjorie is really clinging and leaning into Zach. Now it feels a bit more formal, classical even. Which is not a bad thing, but I felt no pang in my soul which I so desire to feel when watching Lala. The audience gave them a standing ovation, which, despite all my complaining, I think was deserved. It was fantastic, it just didn't move me in the way I expected. Now, when watching CPOM, I thought technically they were impressive. They skated quite close together and their twizzles were very in sync and stable. Honestly, I thought based on technical merit that they might go above Lala. But I do love to say Ice Dance is about vibes, and Lala did, in the end, bring better vibes to the table. I think the more interesting conversation to have here is to juxtapose Lala and read Ambrulevicious. Or is it Ambrulevicious? I don't know. I'm going to say one of these opinions I alluded to at the beginning, and this opinion is that the Lithuanian team is overscored. Cue booing. Now, let me be clear, I like them as a team, I like their weird energy, but their free dance just didn't do it for me. I can appreciate that they flaunted convention and let Saul be the star of the show in the rhythm dance. It's not for me personally, but I can appreciate it. However, their free dance just feels so unexciting until the last 45 seconds, and even then I don't think it has enough sink and snap. Their movements are very smooth, which works in the middle section when the beat drops out, but otherwise, for this techno house music, I expected much more attack on the choreo. Allison also smiles a lot, which confused me as to what kind of vibe they were even going for. Her face is giving, yay, hee hee. The music is trying to take us to the club, and the skating speed and flow is giving insert generic strings-led classical style composition here. They just didn't bring attitude, and as a result, it doesn't feel like the style of program suits them. In fact, this free dance feels like Teemu Lopareva Brisode's free from last season. I'm obviously exaggerating for comedic effect, but it is the best comparison I have. I rewatched this free dance, and then watched Lopareva Brisode's Skate Canada 2024 free right after, and yeah. The weird Lithuanians could learn a thing or two from the weird Frenchies, in my opinion. I honestly would argue that Lala and or CPOM outskated the Lithuanians in the free. Okay, I'll stop with my controversial take for now. Now we get to the winners, Piper and Paul, who gave me a heart attack with their curve lift error in the free. It looked like Paul's stability bobbled, which then caused Piper to have difficulty getting up into position. Regardless, they took the gold. Backing up to their rhythm dance, it incorporates I'm Too Sexy and RuPaul. Many fans, myself included, agree they should let go of the I'm Too Sexy and stick to just RuPaul. I like the theme, I like the choreo, I like the costumes. It's actually a win for this rhythm dance theme in my opinion. Their free dance is one I never saw in its original form, apart from their Olympics exhibition skate, and I liked it then. I do still like it. I do think it is a little bit simple conceptually, especially compared to Wuthering Heights, and I'm hoping they can elevate it as the season goes on. But I'm definitely not opposed to it. Now I have to say something, my friends. I fear that Piper and Paul are just still so slow. Their twizzles at this event just felt glacial. It's so noticeable live. Their choreo sometimes distracts from it and sometimes doesn't. Now, of course, speed isn't everything. But man, skaters like Lala just give me so much more of a thrill. Whew, so that's my ice dance recap. Let's move on to men's. Honestly, the most well-skated event of SCI 2025 was probably the men's short, at least compared to how most comps go. This was an incredibly menning-free spectacle, which, meant that some menning was unavoidable in the free. Dead last was Alexa Rakic, one of 3 Canadians who honestly didn't have too bad of a skate. He landed his quad toe in the short and didn't have a single fall overall. His skating skills were scored 6.5 to 7.25. I just have to say Gogolev received 6.75 to 8.25 in skating skills. Admittedly, the Canadian judge was full on Delulu with their 8.25 rating, other ratings capped out at 7.75. But I don't think that Gogolev's skating skills are better than Alexa's overall. I digress. The weakest point of Alexa's performance was definitely his short program royalty-free groovy saxophone music, where he was dressed in a bright green boxy vest that fits him just like the pajama shirt I made for my first sewing project when I was 13 years old fit me at the time. Anyways, Vladimir Samoylov from Poland ended in 11th place. He had a crazy good eye spin at the end of his short program. That's the main takeaway for me. Kevin Amos of France was not skating in Texas this week, and it was evident. Despite being 5th after the short, he tanked hard in the free. I actually like his Bolero free, but not when it's interrupted by so many mistakes. Tomoki Hiwatashi ended up in 9th and continued to make his case for a US Olympic spot, scoring 230.58. I really liked his short program, which ends with the Freebird guitar solo. In 8th was Canadian Stephen Gogolev. He scored 236.48 here, which is slightly higher than at Cranberry Cup, but quite a bit lower than at Nebelhorn, where he'd taken home 255.06. The free skate here was notably rocky, only amassing 150.35 points. In 7th was countryman Roman Sadovsky, scoring just fractions of a point higher with 236.73. Now for Roman, this was a bit of a step down compared to Cranberry, where he scored 243.23 after a wonderful free, but a bit of a step up from Nebelhorn, where he scored 233.39. Overall, I don't think these results make it clear who should go to the Olympics. Romsky and Gogo will again compete head-to-head at Finlandia, so hopefully we'll see a trend emerging at the final Grand Prix. Nikolai Mamola of Italy placed 6th. I'm going to say of all the men, he was the best dressed. Looked like $1 million, and his program selection caters to me, Tosca and Scheherazade. He had very ambitious free program content, but sadly, it didn't materialize for him at this event. Nika Agadze of Georgia placed 5th with nearly 250 points. Nika. I am going to say, of all the skaters at this competition, he was undoubtedly the worst dressed. In both programs. The free program I had never seen before, and I wish I could return to that state of knowing. He seems like a nice guy, though. That's all I have to say about him. In 4th was Kazuki Tomono. I was looking forward to seeing Kazuki, and he was indeed the highlight of the event for me. His short program goes so hard. It's to a Sophie Tucker song. If you don't know their music, think iPhone commercial. His body movement and performance skill is so good. He truly projected it out to the audience in his short, and then in his free showed a different character, drawing the audience in with the piano track Halston, which was written for a fashion designer by the same name. The arena completely hushed for his step sequence. It was the quietest moment of the weekend. I'm so glad I'll get to see him again at Skate America. In 3rd was Kao Miura, sneaking past Kazuki onto the podium with 253.69. All I can say is good for him, he pulled it off. I'm not exactly counting on him to do it again, but happy for him for sure. He landed his quad loop in the free, which was quite impressive. Honestly, a podium wouldn't feel right without a Japanese man on it. Taking home the silver medal was Estonian Alexander Selevko with 257.21. He was committing to the bit and performing to the best of his ability, not to mention landing most of his jumps, including a very nice quad lutz in the free skate. Very exciting to see Estonia with a Grand Prix medal. Finally, with a margin of over 75 points, Ilya easily snagged the gold medal, scoring 333.81. This truly was a situation of hydrogen bomb versus coughing babies. I was happy to be able to see his programs live so I can form a better opinion. Sadly, I still don't really like either of his programs, especially his free, and I do still think it would be correct to scale back his PCS a bit, while still giving him his deserved win. For reference, his average skating skills score in the free was 9.14. And let me be clear, these opinions coexist with me liking Ilya as a skater, which I absolutely do. I think he is good for the sport and his technical skill is generational. So if you're going to think I'm an Ilya hater, think again. I'm actually most critical of skaters I like the most because I want them to unquestionably achieve their full potential. That's why I blabbed about Lala for too long earlier. Anyways, although it sent a chill down my spine to hear, "You are something but not nothing," boom over the Saskatoon Sasktel Center loudspeakers as I slurped down my volunteer lunch of minestrone soup. I can appreciate that Ilya is committing to his own bit. I just need to go cry in my closet for a while because I'll never see I'm Not a Vampire again. That's all. Moving on to the woman. Everyone and their dog has already highlighted how tough but also how arbitrary the technical panel was at this event with their Qs and unders, so I won't spend too much time talking about it for all skaters. Uliana Shuryeva of Canada landed in last place, scoring 161.98, but with respectable technical content. In fact, according to Skating Scores analysis, in the free skate, Uliana was 4th overall for jumping passes. As I've mentioned before, it's really her second mark where she needs to grow. Sarah Maud Dupuis broke my heart. She was the leader of the 3 Canadian women after the short, but faltered in the free, big time. She didn't land her triple axel, and everything seemed to fall apart from there. As well, she said in a post-skate interview that the triple axel is still a little bit of a jump and pray. Honestly, I can no longer see her going to the Olympics if she herself is saying the triple axel is not a consistent jump, but we will still enjoy her performances otherwise. Asa Yoon from Korea landed in 10th. She had a hard double axel fall in the short, and another hard fall in the free where she smacked her elbow. We thought she was going to leave the ice after that, but somehow she pulled it together and finished the program quite well overall. I hope her elbow is okay as she was still holding it after she finished her skate. Madeline Skizas ended up the best of the Canadian women at this event, scoring 166.64 in comparison to Sarah Maud's 163.58. This was mainly due to a disastrous short program where she fell twice and missed her combo, scoring less than 50 points. Her free program score was 117.92. While I am happy she was able to come back in the free, I'm going to be a rain cloud for a moment and say that this is not the kind of free skate score to rest one's laurels on. I mean, Gabby Daleman just scored 121.45 in the free at sectionals. While we're at it, Victoria Baraktina got 116.4 in the free at sectionals as well, in the junior category. Yes, sectionals is a domestic comp, but I think I have a point here. I'm not saying that Maddie's not going to the Olympics, because at this point she is. I'm saying that there's much room for someone, anyone, to step up and over Maddie's current level. And no, doing that would still not guarantee whoever it is the Olympic spot, but come on, the door is so open. Maria Senyuk of Israel, who was a late addition to the Saskatoon roster, came in 8th overall. She had boot issues leading into this event, so I think overall she showed tenacity in her performances. That said, I don't think standing still on the ice and mouthing the voiceover words was a good artistic choice in her Stranger Things program, and her jumps do look very muscled. I feel for her though, as she wasn't in the best position to achieve a good result going into this event. Sarah Everhart from the US was in 7th with 174.59. I was quite looking forward to seeing her live, and I enjoyed her short more than I have watching it digitally in the past. I also liked her new Poor Things costume. Although I haven't seen the movie, I know what it's about, and the costume does evoke the main character. But, presumably due to getting absolutely hammered with calls that tanked her scores, Sarah was visibly upset and visibly distraught after her short, and also leading up to the free skate. Poor thing. Sorry, that was a bit on the nose. Now I will don my Kula King hat and show some clips of her free skate jumps, so you can judge for yourself. Here's her opening combo from the short where her Lutz was called under. Next, here's her opening combo from the free, where the second jump got an under. Next, here's her solo triple flip from the free that got an edge call and a Q. And lastly, here's her triple loop from the free that got an under. In my opinion, these calls were tough, but fair enough, if the panel had similarly called everyone else. Now look at this triple Lutz from Monet. I would argue it was landed on the cue, but it only got an edge call. Now check out this combo from Isabeau. Does that second jump look rotated to you? It shouldn't, but to the technical panel it looked rotated. So I think Sarah is justified in feeling however she feels about her score here. And you know what, I love rooting for a skater who's going through a bit of undeserved adversity, so call me a Sarah Everhart fan. Yuna Aoki from Japan landed in 6th. She also got hammered on calls, and I feel her PCS scores in the low 8s could have been a touch higher, considering Lara and Brady received similar scores. But when you're watching Yuna, who cares about jumps or scores? She's simply a delight. Laura Naki-Gutman of Italy finished in 5th overall with 192.05 after being in bronze medal position after the short. She really only had 3 errors in her free, but overall they did cost her the medal. Seeing her live really impressed me. She looks quite tall, has lovely poise, and a beautiful springiness to her jump combos. In 4th was Brady Tennell with 195.07 points. She got a few calls and had some small jump issues. I really truly adore her short program, but her free program is not it for me. Especially because it looks like she left her dress on a muddy ATV trail prior to the free skate. But she is just a genuinely nice person and I can't help rooting for her. Ami Nakai from Japan moved up from 4th to 3rd overall. She didn't land either of her triple axels cleanly. That flicker of hope for consistent Ultra C from Ami was snuffed out by Saskatoon's dark energy, I suppose. But she didn't get many calls, and the quality of her skating elevated her to a podium finish. Seeing her free skate live, I do have thoughts on the criticism that it is junior-ish. In the arena, it actually didn't feel very junior. Ami skates it with such strong performance ability, and her interpretation feels very honest, which I think elevates the program. It seems like she truly believes the message of what she's skating to, so you believe it too. In 2nd was Isabeau Levito from the US. I appreciate Isabeau's balletic qualities and persona. She seems to sparkle wherever she is and no matter what she's wearing. But, like countless others, I do think the toe jump takeoffs break the spell of beautiful lines. It is what it is, honestly. Mone Chiba of Japan pulled off the win with a massive score of 217.23. Honestly, I think she's on the Olympic team with Kaori at this point, and the 3rd spot is up for grabs. What can I say about Mone that hasn't already been said? Great skating skills, stunning layback spin, and a new short program dress that's a little divisive, but I enjoy it. I was rooting for her and glad she got the gold. Finally, pairs, where I'll just highlight the notable results. First, congrats to Anastasia and Luke from Great Britain. After a disaster short that had Anastasia in tears, they came back with a solid free to place 6th overall. This throw in particular was impressive from my angle. Next, Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud of Canada had the short program of their lives. It was truly so well skated and the crowd gave them a standing ovation. But a rocky free had them off the podium in 4th place. Ellie Cam and Danny O'Shea from the US pulled off a personal best free to grab the bronze with 199.11 points overall. This was after a rough warm-up where Ellie couldn't seem to land anything right. It truly stunned many of us, seeing her lock in and nail those throws when it mattered most. Congrats to them, honestly. The real upset of the event was, of course, Deanna and Max taking the gold for Canada over the Germans, who are usually so rock solid. I take back everything I said about Deanna and Max's Poeta. It's actually a really nice free skate. Minerva and Nikita fell once each in the free skate, and despite errors on the side-by-side jumps, Deanna and Max were cleaner overall. Deanna, of course, was over the moon, and very emotional during the medal ceremony when the anthem played. I hope they can build on this momentum. I would really love to see them on the Olympic podium, but I know it's going to be a fight. I still feel this was uncharacteristic for Maniki, and we shouldn't expect them to continue to have these types of errors. So that's my Skate Canada International 2025 recap. I don't recommend driving to Saskatoon from anywhere, unless you enjoy being bored out of your mind. I have to say last year's event in Halifax was definitely better in terms of venue and just event in general. And I'm hoping that next year's SCI will be in a nicer location. Even Edmonton would do, to be honest. I'm going to give the Triple Point Skating Award to the Lorax, who sat in the audience on Friday night and left their blessing for the men's short program the following day. If only their blessing had lasted more than 24 hours. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to try to make some last-minute banners before traveling to Lake Placid. Because of that, there won't be an NHK recap video.